investigation has found that the use of a taser on a man who subsequently died in Falmouth was in line with force policy. The family of 30-year-old Mark Cole have called for an urgent review of taser use by police. On the roads in Penryn, there are temporary traffic lights for water mains work on Commercial Road, and in Tor Point on the A374, Anthony Road, there's slow traffic due to temporary traffic lights and roadworks near Pengelly Hill.
Cornwall's weather.
Let's get right up to date and say good evening to David Brain. Hello, David.
Hello, Martin. Good evening. Yes, we've got some reasonable weather to start the night ahead of us in Cornwall. There is some cloud now. It's been steadily increasing in terms of its thickness and its coverage. Most of full cover of cloud now, but quite high. Later on tonight, that cloud will continue to thicken and lower, and by the morning produce a few spots of rain or drizzle. And overnight temperatures probably much milder than last night, with a range of temperatures between 6 and 8 degrees. Moderate southwest winds, so a mild start of the day. But tomorrow, a lot of cloud around for much of the day tomorrow, a bit different than today, with some patchy rain or drizzle in the morning, drier in the afternoon, but we do keep a lot of cloud and quite misty conditions over the high ground at Bodmin Moor. A fresh southwest wind and a top temperature of 11 or 12 degrees, 54 in Fahrenheit. Times of high water, Lou, that's at 8:40 and 20:59, Sennen 7:46 and 20:00. And the coastal waters forecast, starting with tonight, the winds are from the west or southwest, force 4 or 5, becoming variable 3 or 4 for a time, and then increasing southwesterly force 5 later. The weather, patchy rain with moderate visibility, and the sea state is moderate to rough. Tomorrow the winds are southwesterly 5, occasionally 6. The weather, occasional drizzle with moderate, occasionally poor visibility, with the risk of some sea fog at times, with moderate to rough seas. That's tomorrow. I think on Friday we have a similar day, a lot of cloud around with some outbreaks of rain, a little brighter in the afternoon, but the rain comes back on Saturday.
Avenue, so heading up the hill out of Truro towards Arch Hill, but the lane closure we had on Tregols Road has now lifted. That's all been sorted. Treemilestone to Chiverton, the usual volume of busy traffic on the A390 as you head towards Penstrays, and also Devon roundabout pretty stacked at all approaches as you head towards Perranawirtho in particular on the A39. The broken down vehicle we have on the Tamar Bridge is causing a bit of slow traffic heading across to Plymouth on the A38 eastbound. Just a bit stop-start as you come down from Carkill, but nothing too major, nothing like it was last evening. If you've got any further updates, please give us a call.
This week in Iceland, it's 2 for £5 on the exclusive Gino's Pizzas.
No, there's a lot of people around you.
Maxine Nightingale on BBC Radio Cornwall, 22 minutes past 5, and right back where we started from. Well, where we start, of course, is with Yoda lyrics, which go up on the internet a couple of minutes before I come on air, giving you a chance to have a look at them and come up with the name of an artist and a song title. So Yoda takes the lyrics of a song, just one line of lyrics, messes them around a bit, as Yoda has a wont to do, and comes out with something you said, it must have been. Something you said, it must have been. Those are Yoda's lyrics for tonight. So which song, which artist? You can either use 81333 starting a guess with the word Cornwall, or you can go onto Twitter where my handle is @RadioBailey. And I've got the first clue for tonight's Guess Who as well. I have to admit, tonight is going to be difficult. I've made it that way because if I didn't, it would be just too easy. But you're looking for a real person who was born in 1950 and whose dad was a housing officer. You're looking for a real person who was born in 1950 and whose dad was a housing officer. Any ideas yet? BBC Radio Cornwall. Martin Bailey. Exactly 23 minutes past 5 o'clock. Well, as you might have heard today, the family of a Falmouth man who died in 2017 after being tasered by the police are calling for an urgent review. The death of 30-year-old Mark Cole has been the subject of a lengthy inquest in Truro over the last 2 weeks. Now, the inquest was told that on May the 23rd, 2017, late at night in Langton Road in Falmouth, Mark Cole was seen pacing the street. He's barefoot, he's carrying a kitchen knife and cutting himself, self-harming. Eyewitnesses said he was wandering around as though he was lost. Well, PC Timothy Wilson was called to the scene, and PC Wilson shouted at Mr. Cole to drop the knife. He doesn't. So the police officer deploys his taser 3 times for a total of 42 seconds. Mark Cole went into cardiac arrest and was taken to hospital, but effectively died at the scene. The inquest also heard that in previous months, Mark Cole had suffered delusional thoughts and paranoia. He'd also taken cocaine during the afternoon, which would have increased the chances of an adverse effect from the taser. The jury found his death was caused by excessive use of cocaine, resulting in paranoid and erratic behavior, with the use of a taser having more than a trivial impact. On the steps of the hearing, the solicitor for Mark Cole's family, Emily Comer, spoke on behalf of the family.
The jury have found that the taser had a more than trivial impact on Mark's death. What is needed is an urgent review of police use of taser, considering the lack of robust training in responding to those experiencing mental ill health or intoxication, and the risks associated with repeated and prolonged exposure to tasering. It is too late for Mark, but we believe that this would save lives.
The same solicitor, Emily Comer, also read a short statement on behalf of Nadine Kinder, Mark Cole's partner.
An inquest is meant to be about truth, but the only truth I remain sure of is that 2 innocent children were robbed of a life with their dad and me. Police walk around every day with people's lives in their hands, but I now believe they are protected from the moment they put on their uniforms. Admitting giving inaccurate statements and raising more questions than they have answers for, they have shown no emotion or sympathy for the family which they have destroyed. Next time that you call the police, who we are meant to trust to help us in crisis, know that it could be your family, friend or neighbour at the blunt end of this. Something needs to be done within the force to ensure that the police understand the ramifications of taser use and the pain that is caused when they close ranks during an inquest.
Well, Devon and Cornwall Police released a statement today, and this is what they said.
We are aware of the findings of the jury following the inquest of the death of Mark Cole. As was made clear in the inquest proceedings, our officers were faced with a unique and incredibly challenging set of circumstances on the night of May the 23rd, 2017. They acted to prevent Mark Cole further harming himself in an attempt to save his life, despite perceiving there to be a risk of harm from Mr. Cole to both themselves and the public. The matter was referred to and investigated by the Independent Office for Police Conduct, the IOPC, which concluded the performance of our officers did not fall below the standard expected. Our sympathies remain with Mr. Cole's family and friends.
And if you like, you can read the full story at BBC News online page for Cornwall, bbc.co.uk/Cornwall, bbc.co.uk/Cornwall. Well, I'm still watching The Wires with the time at 27 minutes past 5. I see nothing yet regarding the vote. As when I do, I'll tell you about it.
Brexit party Nigel Farage has given a final provocative speech to the European Parliament in Brussels. He spoke as members were about to give their final approval to the terms of the UK's departure from the EU. Around 200 British citizens are facing 2 weeks in isolation when they arrive back from China tomorrow. They're returning from Wuhan, the city at the centre of the coronavirus outbreak. Police say they were faced with an incredibly challenging set of circumstances the night they tasered a man in Falmouth, which played a part in his death. The family of 30-year-old Mark Cole have called for an urgent review of the use of tasers by police. The Independent Office for Police Conduct found the performance of the officers involved did not fall below the standard expected. More than a third of senior doctor jobs advertised in Cornwall have gone unfilled. The Royal Cornwall Hospital says it's facing recruitment challenges and is working hard to attract new doctors, taking advantage of relaxed visa restrictions to recruit from overseas. The Trust says it would welcome national initiatives to help recruit and retain more. A senior councillor has hinted that council houses could be built along the perimeter of Newquay Airport as part of the authority's target for 1,000 social properties within 4 years. Mike Eathorne-Gibbons said the area around the airport was being looked at as part of a new development idea. And around 450 jobs will be cut from BBC News under plans to complete its £80 million savings target by 2022. Outlets to be hit by the job closures include BBC Two's Newsnight, BBC Radio 5 Live, and the World Update programme on the World Service. The weather tonight, dry and clear at first, but cloud will increase as outbreaks of rain and drizzle move in after midnight. Lows down near 6 Celsius, that's 43 Fahrenheit. The next high water at St Ives at 1959 and at Loo at 2027. BBC Radio Cornwall.
Thanks very much indeed, Hannah Stacey there. Hannah, if you'd kill that red light, I'd be grateful. The Cornwall Football Association says it's conducting a thorough investigation into an incident at Falmouth Town's match with St Blasey at the weekend. Police were called to Falmouth's Blickland Park ground after crowd disturbances. The Cornwall FA says it's working with match officials, both clubs and Devon and Cornwall Police, to establish what exactly happened. In the League Cup, Aston Villa will find out tonight if it's Manchester City or Manchester United they'll play in the final. City have a 3-1 lead going into the second leg of their semi-final at the Etihad Stadium, and the United manager, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, knows it will take a special performance to get them to Wembley.
It has to be a perfect performance to win with 2 goals against such a good team away from home. So we just need to score 2 more than them. When they happen and how it happens, if we concede 2, we need to score 4. So it'd be good not to concede first.
Football like mathematics. In tonight's Premier League action, the leaders Liverpool travel to West Ham. The Liverpool manager Jurgen Klopp is expecting a tough match against the Hammers, who are 4th from the bottom.
It'll be a big fight. They have rather defensive. They want to strike back. They have a tough program coming up. No points to waste, no time to waste. Counter-attacking threats. Antonio, Mancini, whoever can play. I'm not 100% sure. That's what the Premier League is about.
On to tennis, and Dominic Thiem has beaten Rafa Nadal in 4 sets to reach the Australian Open semi-final. He will play Alexander Zverev. He came from a set down to beat Stan Wawrinka in 4 sets. In the women's draw, Simona Halep is through to the semi-finals. She beat Annette Kontova 6-1, 6-1, and now faces Garbine Muguruza. Meanwhile, Britain's Jamie Murray and his partner Bethany Mattek-Sands are through to the semi-finals of the mixed doubles. On to rugby. In Rugby League, Britain's only out gay professional player, Keegan Hurst, has told the BBC he doesn't agree with Catalan's Dragons signing the former Australian rugby union star Israel Folau. Hurst says Folau should get a second chance, or I beg your pardon, shouldn't get a second chance, after showing no remorse for his anti-LGBT posts on social media, which resulted in his sacking last May by Rugby Australia.
Rugby League champions itself on being tolerant and inclusive and diverse, and people work really hard promoting those values. This signing and the lack of being able to stop it by the RFL and Super League is just a slap in the face to all those people's hard work. Anyone who's LGBT who's involved in the game, whether that's players, fans, officials.
BBC Radio Cornwall. Travel.
Starting on the A30 at Bolventure, there are lane closures on a 40-mile-an-hour speed limit. It's due to the roadworks there. Penryn, there are temporary light
St Watermains Walk on Commercial Road and queuing traffic in both directions. Tor Point is the same story. The A374 Anthony Road, slow traffic due to the temporary lights and roadworks near Pengelly Hill. And at 4 lanes, the B3297 is closed for resurfacing the work between 9 Maidens Academy and 4 lanes road, so do expect delays there. No problems reported at the airports or on the trains this evening. On the Tamar Bridge, traffic is currently slow moving Devon bound at the moment. There's around a 10-minute wait with 3 ferries running between Tor Point and Devonport. I'm Paul Leather. If you see a travel story that we're not talking about, you can call BBC Radio Cornwall on 0808 100 1039.
I'm not sure now, Paul, but you see that Pengelly Hill?
Yeah.
Does that run along the ranch that belongs to Pengelly, do you think? I was just wondering. I'm not entirely sure.
Yes, I'm sure it does.
You check the maps and come back and tell me.
Isn't it Bailey Castle? Isn't it there?
BBC Radio Cornwall.
Martin Bailey.
He's not the Messiah, he's a very naughty boy. Finance, the FTSE 100 index at the close was up 2.88, so hardly up at all, like 3 points, do you know what I mean? To 7,483.5, but at least it's going in the right direction. The FTSE 100 index at the close up just shy of 3 points to 7,483.5. The pound sterling on the tourist overnight market holding its own again against the euro at €1.13 for each pound sterling. Against the American dollar, I think it's climbed a cent. It's $1.24 for each pound sterling. And if you're heading to Sweden, and why wouldn't you? 11.96 krona for each and every one of your pound sterlings. Now remember, tourist overnight rates, the worst possible rates you can get. You'll probably get better from your corner shop, to be honest. 22 minutes before 6 o'clock on BBC Radio Cornwall, and I still see nothing from Europe at the moment regarding the vote. As soon as there is something there, I will bring it to you. British citizens returning from the Hubei province of China will be put in quarantine for a fortnight as a precaution against the spread of the coronavirus. Up to 200 British nationals are expected to arrive back in the UK tomorrow on a flight arranged by the UK government. Now, earlier, British Airways suspended all flights to and from mainland China. Khan Lambert is a PE teacher from Lancaster, living and working in Wuhan. He turned down a seat on an evacuation flight before the quarantine announcement this morning. He says he probably still will not come home.
It's probably too late for me to make other plans in terms of what I'm going to do here. You know, I have a dog, so now I need to try and find somewhere for that dog to go because we're not allowed to bring pets home. These tentative plans that the government released this morning that were put across to us when we called the embassy, they have far-reaching consequences.
Jeff Siddle is from Northumberland. He's been visiting his family in Hubei province where the outbreak began. He says he and his daughter have been offered seats on a flight tomorrow, but not his wife. His wife is a Chinese national.
British government has been much slower to react than many other countries. America, France, Japan, and a number of other countries seem to be much more proactive and have plans in place to get their citizens out. And the UK government has almost just reacted in the light of what other countries are doing.
Oliver Pickard is the owner of a pharmacy in Windsor in Berkshire. He said he's sold out of face masks. He's struggling to buy more.
Maybe we have a lot of tourists, but I have seen in excess of 20 or 30 people, mostly Chinese national, coming to buy the mask. I've been asking them why buy the mask. Are they traveling back? Are they for wearing this country? And in most cases, people are either sending them back to China because they are unavailable in China, or they are on a flight going back to China or Hong Kong, and the Chinese government is asking people to wear the mask as a compulsory measure.
There are now about 6,000 cases of the virus. Of those, 132 people have died. But Dr. Peter Holden, the lead GP on emergency preparedness for the British Medical Association, says we should not panic.
Can we just remind people life is deadly? And can we please remember that out of 1 billion people in China, or whatever it is, we have 3% mortality. And I suspect when the full analysis is done, those are people who in any winter would have died of something anyway. We're calm, we're not complacent. The reason that BA have ceased their flights is, can you get travel insurance when the Foreign and Commonwealth Office have told you don't go? No, they've done it for commercial reasons.
The European Tourism Association says the virus has already hit UK tourism to the tune of about 20,000 cancellations and an estimated cost of £35 million. Meanwhile, Australian scientists have recreated the new coronavirus in a laboratory in Melbourne, which they say is a significant breakthrough in the quest for a vaccine. The Foreign Office has advised against all non-essential travel to China. Just looking at the latest news that's coming through, and we have had word that it is confirmed the UK will leave